Stranger Things Season 5 begins with Will's time in the Upside Down, where he is chased down by a Demogorgon and taken to Vecna. Vecna, deciding conversation is overrated, uses his signature vine-based approach. Tentacles insert unspecified materials into Will's mouth, because apparently, this is how one prepares for beautiful things to be done together, according to Vecna. Now, in the slightly less tentacly real world, the drama continues. The Byers have temporarily moved in with the Wheelers, making for a lovely breakfast. But the real news is being broken by our favorite dynamic duo, Robin and Steve, who have scored a sweet gig at a radio station, WSQK. As Robin expertly mans the mic, we get the lowdown. Hawkins is now basically a highly guarded, medically scrutinized town. The locals are convinced the entire town-ripping phenomenon was just a natural event, while the military has set up shop. They call it the Mac Z, or affectionately, the Big Mac, and they've slapped a quarantine sign on the town. Mandatory checkups and no-leaving rules are in effect until the military finishes their super-secret mission. Of course, we know the real mission is less about cleanup and more about tracking down the one and only 11, whom they are still convinced is the town's resident disaster magnet. On the personal front, Robin and Vicky are officially an item. Good for them. Less good is poor Dustin. He is still deeply grieving Eddie's death, and this grief is morphing into a serious desire for a scrap. He's purposely walking around in his Hellfire gear, which, predictably, rubs the jocks the wrong way. A quick backstory for those who forgot. The basketball team, led by Captain Creep, believed Eddie and the Hellfire Club were responsible for the whole satanic panic-fueled mess. When they confront Dustin, his friends swoop in for the save. Dustin, still powered by pure adrenaline and sorrow, decides a simple thank you is insufficient and instead pulls a prank on one of the basketball players. Naturally, this escalates quickly, and poor Dustin ends up getting a proper beating at Eddie's grave. And despite a missing poster for 11 on the school wall, she's nowhere near missing. She's in full-on training montage mode, boosting her speed and powers for the inevitable showdown with Vecna. The gang hasn't given up on finding the big bad, because that's the only real path to peace. Their current strategy involves something called the Crawl, which is, quite literally, the episode's title. After a nice little reunion between Will and Elle, we learn what the Crawl is. The military briefly burns a gate to the Upside Down for easy access to the world, though it closes back almost immediately. What Hopper and 11 have been doing is sneak onto one of their trucks to follow them in and search for Vecna. Since they haven't really seen him in all of their 37 trips, Hopper insists on 11 staying back, because the military, now headed by this new Dr. K, is actively hunting for her. Even though Will had a feeling earlier that day which suggests this crawl might yield something, Hopper goes alone. 5 seconds in, they are hit by a Demogorgon, and Will seems to be seeing exactly what it's doing. Though Hopper is still alive, Will comes out of his trance seeing a Demogorgon right at the Wheeler house in the Upside Down, meaning Karen, Holly, and Ted are in serious danger. Earlier that day, Mike's little sister Holly was chatting away with an imaginary friend she calls Mr. What's-It. Her teacher noticed she was literally talking to thin air and informed the parents. The adults think it's just kid stuff, but we all know in Hawkins that just kid stuff is code for impending interdimensional doom. When the little sister starts crying over her parents arguing about her, her roof mysteriously opens and a Demogorgon is peering through. The parents are blissfully having the time of their life, completely unaware their daughter is fighting for hers. Holly finally manages to reach her mom, Karen, who assumes it's just a bad dream, unaware that a toothy, petal-headed menace, a Demogorgon, is about to crash their party. When the Demogorgon bursts in, Karen realizes this is way more than a bad dream, so they hide inside the bathroom tub, submerged and holding their breath. The monster is right on top of them when, from out of nowhere, pops up the dad with a golf club in hand. The dad was just playing golf, but sadly, the golf club is no match for the Demogorgon. He is the first to fall in this very poorly timed game of hide-and-seek. Karen puts up a very good fight, which is totally badass by the way, but ultimately Holly gets taken anyway. The valiant crew arrives late to find Karen barely clinging to life, and she is promptly taken to the hospital. But the good news is, the upside-down portal opened in the house is still active, so Elle enters before it closes in search of Holly. There she meets Hopper, who is absolutely furious to see her, despite all his efforts to keep her out. The military also immediately learns Elle is in the Upside Down, which we now discover is Dr. K's base. The reason Hopper is so against Elle coming in is because he has grown quite fond of her, practically seeing her as a daughter, and he really does not want her fighting Vecna. He thinks she might not survive, which would be devastating to him, but now that she is there, he cannot exactly send her back through the dryer vent. So, all he asks for is to take his lead. 11 can't seem to sense Holly at all, and we now know why. She has been taken to the wall. This wall is a section of the Upside Down, built specifically for keeping captives out of psychic and physical reach. It's essentially a very sturdy, interdimensional lockdown. Outside, the rest of the gang, now joined by a very worse four where Dustin, is still searching for Hopper using the radio, which is yielding precisely 0 results. While Will explains his trance, admitting it felt like he was the one attacking people, like he was literally seeing through the Demogorgon's eyes, Robin quickly deduces Will is basically a human antenna for Vecna. This means that with Will, they could actually track down Holly. Of course, Will's mom is vehemently against putting her son in danger, but Will and Robin are teenagers on a mission. They quickly cook up a lie about transmission issues and head off to the place Will felt Vecna earlier that day. Just as they leave, Mike and Nancy sneak into Karen's hospital room to ask more about Mr. Whatsit, now that they believe he has something to do with Holly's disappearance. Holly had told Mike that Mr. Whatsit said there were monsters in Hawkins, and he would protect her from them, and then she got taken by a monster. That is definitely not a coincidence. As Karen describes Mr. Whatsit, Will takes Robin to the playground he saw in his vision. His eyes were dizzy when he first saw the vision back then, because he was seeing through Holly's perspective. Holly was laying on that spinning play structure earlier that day while being bullied by her classmates. This means Mr. Whatsit was seeing exactly what Holly was seeing, and so could Will too. Basically anyone Vecna controls, Will can kind of see what they are doing. And now, Vecna, Mr. Whatsit, now finally revealed as Henry, has taken her to a creepy house in the Upside Down, promising to protect her from monsters and bring her friends and family too. Vecna's got his eyes on another target, and it's the menace Derek, which Will learns thanks to discovering he can also access Vecna's mind when he accesses his victim's mind, though nobody really wants to save Derek because he and his entire family are total jerks. But saving Derek could potentially lead to saving Holly, so the ends justify the means. The plan now is to kidnap the boy, which everyone agrees is a terrible idea, but Mike gives a better one. Recruit someone familiar with the family, drug them, and set a trap for Vecna when he comes for the boy. They recruit Erica, a bookworm and a straight-up villain, who used to be friends with Derek's sister, Tina. At first, she doesn't see how this benefits her given she would have to go apologize to her ex-friend, but the second she learns this plan would make Tina never talk to her again, she immediately agrees to it. While Erica prepares, Will and Robin are off to score some drugs at the hospital. Robin had planned a date with Vicky that night, but since they are going to be busy trapping a dimensional monster, she tries desperately to avoid her. They end up stuck in a hospital room with everything they need, right in the cabinet. Will uses the opportunity to ask about how to know if a person is queer, and Robin explains there are signals. Is Will gonna be queer? We shall see. The next thing we know, Erica is taking a pie to Derek's family and apologizing to her friend Tina, with the crew set up outside. Though everyone in the family eats the pie, Tina, who is strictly watching her weight, refuses. When everyone begins to black out, Erica has no choice but to inject her. Girl brought back up. Soon, they are modifying the house and setting major traps for the Demogorgon. Wait, how are they going to explain these damages to the family, and who is going to pay for all of them? Anyways, the Demogorgon appears as predicted and gets trapped, but when it comes to the killing shot that is meant to get rid of it for good, Nancy's gun jams. The Demogorgon escapes, heading straight to where Will and Derek's family are kept. Checking in on Elle and Hopper, they are trying and failing to make a dent on the wall. To make things worse, the military arrives with this instrument that dampens Elle's power, basically her kryptonite. She is suddenly useless in a fight against them and is writhing in pain. At first they hide, but the army finds the knife he left in the wall, meaning they are officially caught. A shootout ensues, and Hopper manages to destroy the instrument, restoring Elle's power. She gets rid of all of them, leaving one alive. Because the armies weren't really fazed by the wall, meaning they know something about it, Elle wants them to question Ackle, but Hopper knows soldiers like this don't crack, especially not in a few minutes before the army backup arrives. So Elle dives into his mind. She sees the lab they work in, but something seems to be hidden behind a door, kind of like a vault. As Elle tries to open the door, the man is writhing in pain, screaming he has no idea what's behind it. She breaks down the door. Though she doesn't see anyone before Ackle blacks out, she sensed a great deal of kryptonite, most likely used to subdue a very powerful entity, which she believes is Vecna. Now if Vecna isn't hostage, who the hell took Holly then? We check on Holly, all alone, though Vecna told her earlier that day he is bringing Derek to keep her company. He made her favorite food, gave her her favorite toy, all of the things he learned creeping through her mind and eyes. Before he left, he told her never to go to the woods. But right now, someone knocks on her door, leaving a mail with a map signed Henry that leads to a particular place. Holly follows the map, expecting a monster, but when she gets to the woods, it's actually Max she finds. Max is currently in a coma in the real world, but she's wide awake and very much alive in Henry's creepy mind prison. She explains everything to Holly, who is still naively trusting Mr. Whatsit. Turns out, the whole place is Vecna's mental penitentiary, and with each new victim taken, he creates a new gate to the upside down. When Max first landed here, she tried everything to escape. She wandered through all corners of Vecna's past, including the Hawkins lab massacre, and eventually reached what looked like an exit. But Vecna caught her just in time, trapping her inside a loop of horrible memories, until, suddenly, the visions stopped. She found herself standing in a cave Henry refuses to enter. Whatever happened there is so traumatic, even he avoids it. Now Max has a new plan to break free, but she needs Holly to go back to that creepy cabin and pretend she knows nothing. On our kidnapper's side, Derek is the first to come to. Despite everyone's attempt to let him know the danger that is coming, he doesn't listen. He fakes understanding just long enough to sprint around the house. All the shenanigans end, though, when the Demogorgon arrives. The creature eventually retreats when the group swarms it, and Dustin's team barrels through the portal it leaves behind straight into the upside down. They crash into the wall and make contact with Hopper and Elle, who are getting ready to infiltrate the military base hidden there. Elle wants to jump the fence, but Hopper isn't convinced, until he lets her try, and she absolutely nails it. Unfortunately, Ekel beats them to the base and warns Dr. K exactly what's happening. The soldiers blast Elle with that kryptonite tech, knocking her powers out again. Hopper gets snatched by one of those tentacles, but while Dr. K is busy monologuing, Elle uses the last scraps of her strength to free Hopper. That's all Hopper needs. The soldiers don't stand a chance after that. Hopper wants Elle to leave immediately because the plan he has is sinister. He is strapped up, prepared to blow Vecna up, himself included. It is heartbreaking to see him say goodbye while flashing back to the memories of his daughter's death. But he doesn't have to blow himself up because it's not Vecna they have. It's number 8. After the Demogorgon left, Will saw a vision of other kids in the upside down, stuck in Vecna's web with tentacles attached to their mouths. He starts drawing everything he saw because it feels like something Vecna didn't want him to witness, and super important. The sketch suggests Vecna needs 12 kids for whatever he's planning. He has 3 already, which means he needs 8 more. They really do not know where to begin searching until Mike shows up with info after seeing the military load up the students of Derek's school onto a bus heading to the town base. Apparently, the military has heard about this hunt for kids, but Dr. K told them it was 11 hunting them. The crew knows the military can't protect the kids, not that they can really protect them either, but their chances are better since they know what they are up against. They plan to sneak into the base to rescue the kids, but they need someone on the inside to help them out. They decide to send Derek, who seems to have had a major character development after his near-death experience. Derek walks into the base, revealing he's also a student of the school, and then playfully fishes out students who know Mr. Whatsit, while the team tries to dig a tunnel under the base. Here, Robin learns the person Will actually likes is Mike. She gives him some subtle, encouraging words to stop being scared and fully embrace himself. They manage to smuggle a few kids out before everything unravels. The bathroom they've been using as an exit starts leaking, the military catches on, and some of the kids get detained. They try explaining the nightmare heading their way, but nobody listens, until a Demogorgon appears. Suddenly bullets are flying everywhere, and the Demogorgon descends on the town. Robin and Murray, who was supposed to be their getaway driver, though they only get 3 kids, get their fair share of Demogorgons, and Lucas, still stuck in the tunnels with 2 kids, gets his share too. And then drumroll, the big bad wolf himself shows up, Vecna. The scene is wild. The military is wiped out in seconds. He drags Will toward him, revealing he's singled out the children of Hawkins because they're weak in both mind and body, making them perfect vessels for reshaping the world. As he talks, we see Demogorgons dragging the kids through portals all over town. He begins his terrible monologue about how Will breaking easily showed him his plan could actually work. He leaves smugly, leaving his Demogorgons behind to rip Will's friends to shreds. But nah, Will is not weak. He taps into Robin's earlier advice to stop running and embrace who he is. And since his mind is tied to Vecna's, he realizes he can control the Demogorgons too. One epic moment later, he snaps them apart like twigs. Looks like Vecna may have accidentally created the very thing that's going to destroy him.